The story of Jageshwar Prasad from Raipur feels like a wound that never healed. A wound that stayed open for nearly 4 decades while the world around him kept moving forward. Accused of taking a Rs 100 bribe, an amount so small that today it cannot even buy a full meal, he spent 39 long years living under a shadow that he could never escape. Every morning he woke up to the weight of a case that refused to leave him. A case that dragged him through court corridors. Paperwork, hearings that were postponed again and again. And a society that quietly judged him without knowing the truth. For most people, 39 years is a lifetime. Children grow up, families expand, careers begin and end, entire generations shift. But for Jageshwar Prasad, those 39 years were frozen in time, defined by an accusation that he always insisted was false. When the court finally acquitted him with honor after nearly 4 decades, the truth came too late to save what he had lost. His wife, who had stood by him during the early years, slowly broke under the pressure of poverty, illness, and social stigma. As he said painfully, justice was finally served, but life was ruined. His wife's health deteriorated without treatment because medical care was a luxury they could not afford. When she passed away, there was not even enough money for proper last rites, and relatives who should have supported him turned their backs, leaving him to grieve alone. His children's education suffered, their dreams fading as the family struggled simply to survive. The shame associated with the case isolated them from society, and the opportunities that could have changed their future disappeared one by one. When the verdict finally came, declaring him innocent, it brought with it a strange mix of sadness and laughter. Sadness for everything he had lost, laughter at the irony of a justice system that took nearly 40 years to clear. A man's name in a case involving a mere 100 rupees. How does a system compensate for a life that has already been shattered? How does one rebuild after losing family, dignity, and decades of time? These questions have no easy answers, but his story has touched millions, reminding us that delayed justice is often equal to denied justice. As Jageshwar Prasad walked out of court as an innocent man, the world looked at him with sympathy. But that sympathy cannot restore the past. He stood with a document declaring his honor. But behind that dignified smile was a lifetime of silent suffering, loneliness, and irreversible loss. Yet there was also a strange sense of relief that the truth finally emerged. Relief that the world finally believed him. Relief that his name was no longer tied to an accusation he did not commit. His story has become a symbol of resilience. A reminder of how the poor are often forced to fight battles that are too heavy for them to carry. Battles that drain them emotionally, financially, and socially. While one man in India finally found justice after 39 years. The digital world on the very same day was shaken by an entirely different crisis. A sudden worldwide internet outage disrupted major websites and services, surprising millions of users who rely on instant connectivity for everything from work to communication to entertainment. Numerous websites around the globe went down simultaneously due to a technical failure linked to Cloudflare, a major internet infrastructure company that supports countless online platforms. Users trying to access websites were met with error 500 messages, indicating that the servers were unable to process their requests. The outage spread rapidly, affecting news sites, e-commerce platforms, apps, and even communication tools that many people depend on daily. Cloudflare's dashboard and API suffered major disruptions, making it difficult for developers and administrators to diagnose or fix the issue. In a hyper-connected world, even a few minutes of internet failure can create chaos, and this outage lasted long enough to raise concerns among businesses, governments, and regular users alike. Social media platforms exploded with messages from confused users asking what had gone wrong, sharing screenshots of error messages, and trying to find alternative ways to communicate. For a moment, the world remembered how fragile digital infrastructure can be, and how even the most advanced systems are vulnerable to sudden breakdowns. Cloudflare confirmed that the problem lay within its internal network systems and that engineers were working urgently to restore access. As the investigation continued, the company emphasized that the issue was not a cyberattack but an unexpected internal malfunction. Slowly, services began to return. But not before millions of people experienced the discomfort. and frustration of being temporarily cut off from the digital spaces that have become essential in the modern world. These two stories, one about a man whose life was stalled for nearly 40 years and another about a world whose online life paused for several hours, stand in stark contrast, but also reveal something deeper about the times we live in. For Jageshwar Prasad, the collapse of his personal world happened slowly, painfully, over decades. For the digital world, the collapse happened suddenly, within minutes. Yet in both cases, people felt powerless. In both cases, systems that were supposed to function smoothly broke down. And in both cases, the consequences were far-reaching, though vastly different in scale. Jageshwar's story shows the devastating cost of bureaucratic delay, reminding society that justice delayed is justice denied. The internet outage shows the delicate nature of global digital networks, reminding us that our modern systems depend on constant connection, and that even small failures can create widespread disruption. Together, these stories paint a picture of a world where humans and technology coexist in complex and fragile ways. As Jageshwar Prasad begins the slow process of rebuilding what remains of his life, he carries the heavy memory of 4 decades spent fighting a false accusation. The world now knows his story, and perhaps that recognition will bring some comfort. Meanwhile, as the global internet slowly returns to normal, users around the world are reminded that while technology makes life easier, it is never infallible. And somewhere between the struggles of a single man and the disruptions faced by millions lies a shared truth. Systems, whether judicial or digital, are only as strong as the people and principles that uphold them. These stories, though unrelated, highlight the same underlying reality. Human lives can be changed forever by delays, failures, or errors that seem small on the surface. A 100-rupee bribe case took away an entire lifetime. A single technical breakdown interrupted the online world. Both remind us that resilience, patience, and human dignity remain more important than ever in an unpredictable world.